Hi, so for my science of cooking project, I'm going to be making cookies. So I love to bake, and my family's favorite thing that I bake is chocolate chip cookies, this specific recipe actually, and it makes, you use 2 tablespoon scoops for the cookie dough, and it normally makes around 20 cookies, which depending on what we're doing, or if I'm using it for a certain event, is either too much or too little sometimes. And so today the point of me trying to make a new version of this recipe is to be able to make different amounts of cookies with this base recipe by changing the amount of cookie dough scoops I use, or the size of the cookie dough scoops, and also I'm going to change the baking temperature to try to offset the difference so it is as close to the original as I can. So I'm going to first start out by preheating my oven, and the base recipe uses a temperature of 350, but since I will be doing something less than that, I'm going to start with my lowest temperature and then work my way up. So I'll actually be starting with recipe 3, I'm pretty sure, and that is setting my oven to 300 degrees. And I'm going to be only using the top oven because this is what I normally bake cookies in. And I've noticed when I use both ovens, it cooks a little bit differently. The top oven normally cooks a little bit faster. So I'm going to be using it. So I'm just going to set it to 300 and start that so I can start preheating. I've gone ahead and pre-measured out all my ingredients. So I have 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, a half teaspoon of salt, 1 cup of barely melted but not fully melted butter, 3/4 cup of light brown sugar, which is packed, 2/3 cup of granulated sugar, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, 1 egg, 2 cups of semi-sweet chocolate chips, and my coarse sea salt, which I sprinkle on top. Now I'm gonna start baking my cookies. And also, just a little side note, sorry if my face gets cut off for a second. The way I have my camera set up when I'm using the mixer and stuff, I have to be standing back here for you to see my face. But anyways, I'm gonna start baking my cookies. So to make the dough, you first, in a separate bowl from your mixer, in a medium-sized bowl, so I'm using this one, you're going to mix together your flour, your baking soda, which is right here, and your salt. So I'm just going to take my whisk, which I have right over here, and just whisk this together to get it all incorporated and the baking soda and salt spread throughout the flour. Also, I've noticed this helps get out any chunks or any little packs of flour, which I like to get out before I put in the rest of the batter. And I'm going to set this aside to use for later. Now I'm going to be adding some of my first wet ingredients to start the butter and sugar mixture into my mixer. So this is just a KitchenAid mixer, which I'll be using today. So first I'm going to add the butter. And I'm just going to take my spatula so I can make sure I get all the butter out and don't miss any. Next, I'm going to be adding both my sugars, so my granulated and my brown sugar, which is pretty packed in there. And next, I'm going to be adding the vanilla extract, the vinegar, the apple cider vinegar, and now I'm going to put my paddle attachment, which I have with the extra little, what's it called? The scraper. And I'm just going to put that on my mixer. put it down, lock it. And I do it, normally I start right when I turn it on at 2. And then once it gets a little less like splashy, I turn it up to 4. I'm just gonna let this incorporate and get fully mixed together. So my batter is now mixed to the perfect consistency. And I don't know if you can see this, but it is now lighter than when it was first in the bowl, which I didn't get to show you all. But it is lightened up, which is what we want. So now I'm going to be adding my egg. Let me just grab this to put the shell in so I don't have to run around everywhere. I'm just going to crack that in there. And now I'm going to mix this just until barely just incorporated. I'm going to put this on about 2 or 4 and let it mix together. Now that the egg is all mixed in, I'm going to come back and grab my dry ingredients that we mixed together earlier. And I'm going to add them to the mixture. And some cookie recipes you insert it gradually. This one you just put it all in at once. So I'm going to come over here for a second so I can put it in because of where it ended up. Okay. And now I'm going to start to mix this, but what I normally do when I have this much flour in it is I either use my little shield that protects from anything flying out, or I just take a dish towel like this one and cover it so that flour does not fly everywhere and nothing falls out of the bowl. And I'm going to turn it on just stir so that it incorporates slowly. And I'm gonna let that mix until it is fully incorporated, but not for too long because you don't want to overdo your cookies. Okay, I've mixed it till just combined. So it's still a little bit sticky, but we still have to add in the chocolate chips. So we have to do a little bit more mixing. I'm just now going to scrape down the sides of my bowl to make sure I don't miss any of the ingredients that might have gotten trapped on the side of the bowl, mainly flour. And then I'm going to add in my chocolate chips and mix until those are combined. And this time I'm going to mix until it's able to be packed, not packed, but put into a scoop, since I will be scooping it for the cookies I'm about to make. So I'm just going to pour in all the chocolate chips. There's a lot of them. Okay, and then we're going to just close this, lock it, and put it on stir again until this is fully combined together. Okay, that's good. So now it looks like this. Okay, so we have finished our cookie dough. This is for our half a tablespoon batch. And for like the 1 tablespoon and the 2 tablespoons, I have actual cookie scoops, but for this one I do not, so I'm using a rounded tablespoon like the directions said to use for the original. And so I'll be using, it's the 1/2, I don't know if you can see that. And I'm just going to be scooping it out. So I'm going to try to get them as flat as possible, but obviously chocolate chips are not the flattest thing ever. And I have washed my hands. And I'm just going to be scooping these out onto the tray as so. It's hard to really show you. And I'm just going to continue to do this until I've used up all the dough. And then I will show you what it looks like. So I have 1 tray done, which I am grabbing to show you right now. I can't really tip it over, but they look like this. I did rows of 6 and I have 4 rows. And I'm currently working on tray 2, but I'm going to go ahead and put in the first tray since I can only bake 1 at a time and then continue. So I wanted to add it. I'm going to be starting by baking these at 9 minutes. It said to do 8 to 10, I'm gonna start with 9 because that's in the middle and that's normally what I do and it normally works. The first tray is now ready to be taken out of the oven, which I'm doing right now, and I have my little mitts on. So, they turned out like this. And the way these cookies work is it's like, you take them out and they look a little bit underdone. That's how they're supposed to look, is that color. That's how my cookies always turn out. And then they eventually darken. So I'm gonna go ahead, sorry, I have to hold this, and grab my sea salt and open on the little sprinkle mode. And I'm just going to, hopefully you can see that, and I'm just going to sprinkle my cookies with sea salt. This is also the like secret ingredient. This, and I think the apple cider vinegar. This is not a cute angle, I'm sorry. So yeah, and then I'm just going to let those cool. So yeah. So I'm now taking out the second batch, as you can hear it going off right now. So I'm just gonna say look like this. And I'm gonna go put these on the tray and okay, so I just finished counting all of the cookies. I used 3 trays, and for the 1/2 tablespoons, there's 68 cookies. So now I'm going to go ahead and make the other 3 batches, and I'll check back in with you when I'm done. So I just took the last batch out of the oven, or the last ones on the rack drying. And here, I'll take another video and show you the cookies. So here are the cookies. So this is the 1/2 tablespoon. This is the 1 tablespoon. This is the 2 tablespoons, which is our control. And this is like half of the 2.5 tablespoon, because the other half is still over here drying. I mean, cooling. But once those are finished cooling, I'll make the final results. So here are the final comparisons and results. So for 1/2 tablespoon scoops, we got 68 cookies. For 1 tablespoon, I got 36 cookies. For 2 tablespoons, which was our control, I got 23 cookies. And for finally 2.5 tablespoons, I got 15 cookies. So these are our final results. And here's a side angle from largest to smallest size cookies. And here's a view of the cookies set out as one individual cookie. As you can see, there's a very big difference. I would say this one is like mini cookies. I would still consider this almost a mini cookie. This is when you're getting close to a normal size. And this is almost the size of my palm. It's bigger than my palm, almost the size of my hand. And so I would consider this almost like crumble cookie size. So this concludes my food chemistry video. If you want to see everyone's opinions on the cookies and my results and all of that type of stuff, check out my lab report. And thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. I'm gonna go to sleep now because it's midnight.